So first movement we're gonna go over is the pull-up. This is the pull-up because my hands are in a pronated position with the chin breaking the plane of the bar, the horizontal plane. The difference between a pull-up and a chin-up the hands would be supinated in a chin-up, and a pull-up, the hands are pronated. Chin clears the bar, and I'm done at that position. The pull-up is useful in sport. In sports, we see it develop the scapular muscles, the shoulder muscles, the deltoids, the lats. This can transfer over to football, baseball, basketball, just developing bigger shoulders, bigger lats, and getting better in the pulling movement. The starting position is in a full locked out arm position. So I'm fully locked out here. And then from there, I'm going to activate my lats and biceps, and I will pull myself all the way up, keeping my body nice and tight until I break the plane of the bar. Here, as I'm pulling up, this would be the concentric phase of the movement. As I lower myself back down, that would be the concentric. So that's a finish of the concentric. And as I lower back down, that would be the eccentric phase of it. These are just transferable to life because if you fall, you could pull yourself up. Or if you need to get yourself over the wall or over something, you can always have the strength to pull yourself up. This movement here will be looking at the upper body multi-joint movement. We're looking at the shoulders being one joint and the elbows being another joint. This exercise is called the incline dumbbell press. So finish the reps there. So the incline dumbbell bench press, we're looking at the two joints in the shoulder and the elbow. This is useful in sport because it builds up the upper part of the pecs major closer to the clavicle. This is a good pushing movement, so it's just good to build up upper body strength. So some of the linemen out there for the sport of football, they're always pushing forward. Maybe even a defensive lineman who is in the lower position of a lined up on a lineman. As they explode off of the ball, they need to push up and push that lineman off of them so they can make a play. So we might see some type of movement like this on the defensive part of football. Something to keep in mind is the start position, and the start position will be with the elbows in a neutral position, or the arms in a neutral position, dumbbells are nice and straight, and as I start to ascend and I start pressing up, the barbells go, or the dumbbells go straight up and then touch together as my arms are fully locked out there. As I return back down, the elbows slightly go below the shoulder girdle, and then I continue back with the press there. So looking at the concentric and eccentric phases, so lowering the dumbbells would be eccentric. As I press up there, that's a concentric phase. As the dumbbells lower there, that is the eccentric phase of the lift. Talking about other tips that are critical, it's just real important to keep points of contact, I guess, with the ground. So my feet would be one point of contact that I could see there. So two, my hips fully back into that seat, and then keeping my shoulder, my scapulas along the back side of that bench press so that nothing is elevating up. You want to make sure that happens so you're not like fully lifting off, and then you're getting the full muscle action of the upper part of the pecs and the tricep in this movement. So those are just some things to keep in mind for this lift. Now here's our torso exercise, predominantly involving the abdominal muscles. I'm going to be doing a bent knee, bent leg crunch here. Um, so I have my legs elevated on some weights. My arms in a fully locked out position. Almost have a 90-degree with my legs as I fully come all the way up and touch. It really takes away the hip flexors in this movement. It helps with more the activation of the abdominal muscles. It's always good to have a tight core when you're lifting. That's very important. Also, making sure that your core is tight enough to swing through a baseball and drive the ball as you're doing a lot of trunk rotation, or if you are a wide receiver and you jump up for a ball and you get hit in the core, it's nice good to have abdominal muscles to protect the skeletal part or your major organs underneath the muscle. So just having a strong core just transfers all to a lot of different things in life. So let's look at the concentric phase of the movement would be going all the way up, and the eccentric phase would be lowering myself down. Right there would be eccentric, and concentric phase up and lowering back down. The starting position would be my arms fully locked out and my back's a little flat on the ground. Besides my lower back, I have a little raise underneath here, so I kind of get a little raise. Let's see, should have my hips in contact with the ground and have a little elevation from the lower part of my back as I drive up. To initiate the movement, I contract my core and bring my arms forward to bring myself to the fully upright position. Next movement here is the lower body multi-joint movement. Looking at the hips and knees being one, being the hips, second being the knees. Our structural movement, we're loading the spine in a back squat. So as we go into our back squat, these are just good for sport because you really develop the quad and glute area along with your hamstrings the more you squat. Plus, it's transferable to life and daily living. It's always good to squat and lift heavy. Starting position for the squat would be a nice, good upright position, nice big chest. My feet are making 3 points of contact with my feet, one on the heel, the inside of the big toe, and on the outer part of the little toe. I want to make sure I remain in contact with the ground the entire time with a nice neutral spine, so I keep my lumbar curve. As I descend into my squat, I initiate the squat with my hips descending slightly back and then dropping between my ankles, making sure that I get below parallel. So as I talked about being below parallel, my hip joint being below the knee joint would be a nice good parallel position as I maintain a nice good upright torso in the lift, and then drive up through the back part of my heels, not through my toes. So a lot of misfaults we see when people are squatting is they'll come up on their toes in the squat and stand up. That's not a good way to stand up in the squat. You want to drive through the back part of your heels, keeping your knees in line with your toes as you're standing up. The action would be going down is the concentric phase of the lift. The eccentric phase of the lift, and as I stand would be my concentric phase of the back squat lift. Other things to keep in mind, just make sure to keep your head in a neutral position. That's a really good shot, a nice good lumbar curve there. What we talked about in the back of the spine, you want to make sure that remains, and I'm not rounding my back in the lower part of the squatted part. So that would be my high bar back squat. And one more look at it. Heels remain in contact with the ground. Finish my full squat and stand to the fully upright position. This movement here will be looking at the total body movement exercise. We are looking at a squat clean and a push jerk. So that would be your squat clean, and then moving into the push jerk. And there. So this movement is really useful in sports. It's an overall explosive, powerful movement. Sports as far as speed, power, explosiveness. This is your full body movement. Also known as something would probably be the clean and jerk. So this is very useful in a lot of different sports, this movement here. So we'll look at the starting position. Starting position for the clean. We want to make sure that we have a nice good setup. So let's see from the other side. I want to make sure that we're fully in a good setup position. So as I go into this clean, I want to make sure that I'm in a good setup position. The bar could be along the shins. I got a nice good hook grip. My knuckles are facing down. My shoulders are over the bar. So I think there's a good movement here from the side. The nice good starting position. So shoulders are over the bar there. The bar's pretty much, I'd like to say, try to get it in line with the armpit. So that looks okay. My shins are vertical, hips below the shoulders, and head in a neutral position. So as we start the clean, we go into the concentric phase of the first pull there. That would be our first pull, and then we go into the phase. So that's all concentric. There's the transition, and now it goes pretty quick from first pull there, transition, hips come through the bar, and my second pull begins as I shrug and pull myself underneath the bar into my catching position. So as I stand up, it would be my eccentric part of the lift. I think with these movements, it takes a lot of practice to be better with them, to be a lot more efficient with it. I think I can still continue to pull more on my cleans rather than going a little early. Another issue I would say is maybe I can get my hips lower, a little bit lower than where my shoulders are, and then keep my arms straight a little bit longer as I'm continuing through the pull. In the push jerk position, I think it looks pretty good. Weights back on the heels as I drive the bar up and then drop underneath it. But I think I can definitely improve the clean, just be more efficient at the movement. So that would be our squat clean, total body power position movement here. So there's our squat, and then finally back into the push jerk position. It would be a power jerk because I'm catching with my hips above the knees. So that's it.